Hello everyone, Ryan here, and we're back with Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. I'm going to start this video with a quick reminder that if you're enjoying this video, to give it a like down below and tell me your thoughts down in the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this game if you played it, and if you haven't, what things resonate with you if any. I love having an open dialogue with my audience, and try to respond to as many comments as I'm able. Now with that, God, I'm so excited to get started with this. So we're going to begin by naming our file, and let's go! Opening on the Mario Bros. Home, we see a cameo to the previous game's events, Paracary. This here's going to be a running theme of references to not only other Mario games, but also the previous Mario title. He's here delivering the brothers a letter which is retrieved by Charlie Day. The letter is sent by Anya Taylor-Joy, as they're telling Chris Pratt he needs to... Okay, this joke's as thin as paper. So, Peach tells Mario that she must come across a magical map, and bids him to come along and help her find the location of the treasure. Thinking this sounds like a good time, Mario decides to go along, and Peach has included the map, and we can get a quick glance of the world we're going to be exploring. We transition to the title card as Mario travels across the sea, the new fantastical world which will be home to our many adventures. Mario is awoken by the ship's captain, and he opens his eyes to see the town on the horizon. We prepare to dock, and right out of the gate we get an essence of this game's style. Since everything is paper, and the characters are all 2D, the boat here is going to completely flip on its axis to turn around and begin leaving. And we're now free to move. Moving up to the edge of the dock, we do see an interesting scene where Goomba is being accosted by some weird looking guys in some weird looking clothes. As Mario's not one to let injustice slide, we insert ourselves into the situation and introduce ourselves to the game's battle system. So, this game is a turn-based RPG, but it's quite a bit more interactive than your typical turn-based RPG, as you have what are known as action commands, where if you perform a certain button combination in battle, you can increase the amount of damage you do to the enemy. We'll go over action commands more in depth as we go through, but right now I want to mention Mario's jump command allows him to damage the enemy for 1 damage 2 times if you're successful with the command. This is good for spreading out damage, but kind of bad for enemies with defense points. Similarly, enemies have their own turns and can use action commands to be defensive as well. You can guard by pressing the A button before an attack hits you to lessen the damage you take. Or, you can choose to risk the biscuit and use what is called a super guard. The window for performing a super guard is much shorter, and it is performed by pressing the B button instead of the A button during your guard. It completely reflects all damage, and in most cases, if it's a physical move, it deals 1 damage to the opponent in return. It's a higher risk versus high reward kind of scenario, and I tend to prefer going for super guards because avoiding all damage is kind of the way I like to play. But there are definitely opportunities in which normally guarding is the preferred option, and we'll be seeing more of this as we go on. Now that we're done with this battle though, we earn some star points. This is the equivalent to our experience points, and when we gain 100, we'll get to level up and increase one of our stats. We'll go over more of those later on when we do actually level up. For now though, we're going to take this opportunity to show off the GameCube's rendering power and collect ourselves in Rougeport Square. Here we see this Goomba's name is Goombella, and she's mighty thankful for our intervention. Along the way, we also see Princess Peach's attendant, Toadsworth here, who says he's lost the princess during their stay in Rougeport. Now, while this conversation is going on, we can see in the background a totally separate conversation going on between a pair of Piantas and Craws. Now, this is a cool detail that sometimes happens, but if we slow down on our primary conversation here, we can see that this scene plays out entirely independently from our own. We can surmise from these two they come from opposing factions, the Pianta Syndicate and the Robo-Thieves clan, and they have beef with one another. Now, on the topic of Piantas real quick, I just have to say it's really cool that another one of my favorite Mario games of all time, Super Mario Sunshine, introduced such a cool species that we see referenced in games thereafter, and this game is chock full of references to other Mario games, and quite a bit to Mario Sunshine in total. Now, back to the main plot. Toadsworth is going to stop by and stay at the inn while Mario and his new friend investigate the area for any hint on the princess's whereabouts. Goombella offers the advice of checking in with someone she knows here, named Professor Frankly, and officially joins us as our first party member. Party members in Paper Mario historically are companions that take the form of a previous Mario enemy and turns them into a second character you can use in battle, and assist with their many playstyles. Goombella is the simplest of the bunch, and she is for all intents and purposes a second Mario. Her main method of attacking is using her head bonk, which acts identical to Mario's jump command. She also has the in-battle ability of Tattle, which is similar to Scan and other RPGs, where you get a bestiary entry on the enemies you use it on. This also reveals an enemy's total HP, and it even comes with a full bestiary entry called the Tattle Log. For the purposes of this playthrough, I will be tattling every enemy to get a little bio on them and their stats. Outside of battle, partners also have a use as well, as they'll help with exploration and puzzle solving. Goombella's is essentially using her Tattle ability out in the real world by giving you detailed information on the people you're nearby, and also talking generally about the areas that you're in. If you're new to this game, I recommend listening to her, not just for avoiding getting stuck, but she genuinely has some interesting things to say sometimes. As we get going further on in the game, she'll also offer hints to solve puzzles you come across, so there isn't a need to bang your head against the table wondering what to do or where to go next, with one exception that I'll be logging up much later. Anyway, with Goombella in our squad, I want to quickly bring up this tier list that I'll be adding our partner members to based on their current usability. One thing about this game that is neat is that throughout the game, we'll have the opportunity to increase our party members' power and give them new abilities to use. So their place on the tier list here may change based on the new tools they get to make use of. These listings will be from S to D, with S being the absolute very tippy top, at as many flaws as possible. Goombella, with her use as she is right now, is going to get a solid C. Now, her Tattle ability is nice, and I love seeing the enemy's HP, but her only other method of attacking is the same thing that Mario can do. So it's not really all that helpful or unique. It's helpful in the sense that it is another attack, sure, but it sounds like I'm saying it's literally better than nothing, which is true, but it's a bit of a shame that she's so low right now, because as a character, I really like Goombella. She's spunky and has sass for days, of which we'll see coming up. With that set aside, I do have another tangent. The Rougeport theme. God, if there's any other track to send me into immediate, gushing feelings of positivity, it's probably either this one or the main menu theme I played in the last video. This song is so weird and layered, and there's so much going on, and it's so rough. It's strangely techno, but in the best of ways. I'm gonna let some of it play out here. I was so happy to hear the remix of the song that they did for Smash Wii U and 3DS, and was so disheartened when they slammed it right into the Paper Mario Sticker Star stages. Talk about the monkey's paw. Now, in Rougeport Square, there's plenty of things we can do. This sign here will update with new text after each and every new chapter that we clear, and so will the graffiti text on the reverse side as well. So keep in mind to check on this for new flavor text every now and then. Next, we're going to head to the shop where we can buy some items. I'm going to buy a ton of fire flowers. These items do 3 damage to every enemy in battle, so as long as they don't resist fire, which is a large number of enemies in this game, it's always helpful to pick up quite a lot of these. You also earn points in the shop here for bonus prizes, so the more you buy, the more you earn. Killer. Next, we're going to head over to the inn across the street, where we can see some colorful characters, including this colorful pirate guy, and his cool crystal skull. You can also go to the upper floor and see Toadfruit has perched himself here until further notice. The inn will let you fully heal yourself at the cost of 5 coins, and at least she will after we get out of this beginning section. You see, quite a bit of Rougeport is closed off to us right now, as we're in a bit of a prologue for the prologue, and I'll mention the point when we get out of that, but for now, this is not going to be open yet. But we can go over to this section of the roof here and get what's known as a star piece. There are 100 of these throughout the world hidden, and you'll want to find as many of them as possible, because you can trade them for some cool things called badges. Again, we'll get to those later on. Heading behind the town here, we can get this dump of a house, and funnily enough, in the Japanese version, this house has a chalk outline of a toad, implying that there was a murder here. Honestly, mood. There's also another star piece here behind this foreground element, and back out in front of Rougeport Square proper, there's another star piece right behind this fence. Heading out to East Rougeport, we get accosted by a bandit and lose half of however many coins we have on hand. Normally this is the first place you'd go, so you'd lose 50 coins if you didn't buy all those fire flowers like I did. But since I did, I only lost 15 coins. You can actually return to that dingy house where the murder happened to find that it's that guy's house. And you can actually give him an earful until he returns your coins. Now, we can also try to investigate West Rougeport, but we find a yellow toad here who is searching for a contact lens, and we just so happen to accidentally step on it. No matter what you do, you can't avoid this, and she blocks the way to West Rougeport until we make things right. So I decided to head to the shop to ask if they could order a contact lens, and they say they'll put in an order and will let us know when it's ready. Now, exploring East Rougeport proper, we can see this wall here is actually hiding a whole nother back area, and this alley behind an optical illusion. Trust me when I say that this knowledge haunted me as a kid, because I never knew this existed. There's another bandit here, and a strange guy named Darkly, and there's also another star piece hidden right about here. Moving on, there's a crawl that's blocking the way here to the other half of East Rougeport, and we can choose to pay to have him move, or we can fight him. This is also why I bought those fire flowers, but I'll explain why in a second. Welcome to our second mini-boss battle, if you're counting the battle with Lord Crump we fought earlier. This is Gus. He's got 20 HP, and that spear he's carrying means we can't jump on him safely, without taking damage as enemies with spikes are immune to jump damage. His attack power is 3, and he has no defense points. Now, Gumbella in this fight can't do any damage as her one attack, Headbonk, is solely a jumping move. So, on her turn after we use Tattle with her, she's going to be using some of those fire flowers to do some consistent damage to Gus. And now I can introduce Mario's Hammer. If we hold left until the marker hits the end, we'll do 2 damage in one fell swoop. So now we can see the dichotomy of jump versus hammer, doing 1 plus 1 damage or just doing 2 damage. It may seem like the same thing, but here are some situations where it could be different. Doing 2 damage all at once means if an enemy has 1 defense point, a jump will be doing no damage twice, as the 1 damage from the jump will not be enough to break past that defense point. But if you're doing 2 damage in one hit, you're now doing 1 damage and getting over that defense point. The weakness of the hammer is that you cannot attack enemies that are airborne, and you must attack the first enemy in line. Although if the first enemy in line is airborne, then it targets the first enemy in line that is not airborne. So basically, jump on the airborne enemies, hammer the spiked ones. Gus is a spiked enemy, so we hammer him. You'll notice I'm doing some extra action commands here to do what's called a stylish command. These are secret action commands that every single move in the game has, and some have multiple. And their benefit isn't immediately available to us, but I will be showing off as many of these as I can, as they really do help when it does become relevant. And me doing it now is because I'm simply too old to be breaking this habit of mine. Gus has 2 moves he can use. He can either throw his spear, which I recommend using the normal guard against, as super guarding does not give the damage back to Gus, but his charge attack here does. So it's all about seeing what move is coming your way and deciding if it's worth the risk of trying to super guard. Also, as we use our hammer, sometimes the shaking aspect of the hammer can cause the background elements of the stage we're fighting to fall down. This can do some extra damage to both you and any enemies on the field, and is something you should keep an eye on. You can also guard this as I've done here. Repeating our pattern, we're able to bring Gus down and net some really easy start points. There's not much to be gained from this other half of the section of town just yet, as all the doors are locked, but it is neat to get to talk to this bandit in Dugan early. And yes, this is a Dugan. This is a species created by the Paper Mario series, specifically by Ruff and Ralph in the previous Paper Mario game, but now their mainstays here in Rougeport. Here in this building is Merlin. He offers services to upgrade our party members at the cost of Shrine Sprites. No wonder this world's economy is in such disarray if they're just being handed out for things like this. Similar to the star pieces being scattered here, there are 42 Shine Sprites throughout the world, and it costs 3 Shine Sprites for an upgrade. Now, you might be thinking, well, wait a second, that's 14 if you divide that out. So we're getting 14 party members in this game? Well, that would be a little too much in my mind. The truth is that there are 7 party members that will get the opportunity to upgrade twice, although that second tier will be unavailable to us for a while. Now that said, we can go on to the next door and meet up with the man Gumbella wanted us to meet. This is Professor Frankley. He's Gumbella's old archaeology professor from the University of Goom. Here we learn that the map Mario has been given is in fact the real deal, and Frankley knows they can confirm this fact. So we decide to follow his lead and head down to this pipe to the sewers of Rougeport. And down here, you would not believe your eyes, but there's a whole ass town down here. If we recall the story from the beginning episode, this is the town that sank below the depths. The original town of Rougeport. And if 10 million fireflies just lit up the world, I could fall asleep here. Also down here is this cute little fella named Dazzle. He is who we'll trade rough star pieces for various badges that are really, really good. Again, we'll talk about badges very shortly. I know I keep bringing them up. Fun fact, Dazzle here is unable to be talked to, though, until we complete this little tutorial section with Frankly, that little prologue. But I personally had canon it's because he knows we wouldn't be able to handle the magnificence of his German name in this early in the game. In the German version, his name is Funkelbart, and Funkelbart is translated to Twinklebeard. Over here on this pillar is another star piece, funnily enough. Now we head back out and come across some underground bozos who are looking for a fight. We get to fight a Goomba, a Spike Goomba, and a Paragoomba. This is nice enough tutorial to learn the uses of jump versus the hammer. We'll go over these guys specifically as we're fighting a lot more. I opt to use one of the fire flowers here, as it gets rid of them all in one bout. Frankly also lets us know from here on out we're free to get the first strike on enemies, which lets you get a free hit on an enemy. But all normal battle rules apply. So if it's a spiked enemy, don't jump on it. However, if you do manage to hit a flying enemy with your hammer, this is a rare situation where it will let you continue the attack. Now, for the Goomba, these are your basic fodder enemies. 1 attack, no defense, and 2 HP. So a successful jump or head bonk, or really anything will take these guys out no problem. And right after that, we get the Paragoomba. Same exact stats, except they fly. The Spike Goomba here is the first difference, where its HP and defense is the same, but has an extra point in attack. So it's sort of like how Mario's hammer does 1 more point of damage per hit, compared to the jump. We can hit these item boxes here for some goodies, and also head out to see a path we can't fully explore yet. Heading down this pipe lets us snap a star piece right behind this big block, and we come across a new enemy, the Spinia. Its HP is 3, so you'll either need to use a fire flower on it, or attack it twice to kill it. Its defense is 0 and attack is 1. Now, also in this room here, there's a hidden block which will give us our first example of a badge. This is pretty lucky. Badges are equipable upgrades that give us either buffs or more moves to work with, and badges require badge points, or BP, in order to equip. And starting off, Mario has 3 BP. BP can be obtained as an option through level up, and now that we're on the screen I can go over this in more detail. HP here is obviously your heart points. If they drop to 0, then it's game over, and you're returned to your last save. This does not apply to your partner's HP, as they will simply drop when they lose all their HP. So Mario is the biggest one to keep in mind. FP are your flower points. This is the equivalent to your MP in other RPGs. They also allow you to use stronger moves that are either unlocked by your party members or given to you through badges. Mario and the partner share this resource, so it'll be important to raise this in the future. And finally, like we mentioned before, is our BP. As we level up, we have a choice between these 3 variables, as the HP or FP will grow up in increments of 5, whereas the BP will go up in increments of 3. For this file, I'm going to be employing a low HP run, meaning my level ups are going to consist of me primarily focusing on increasing my BP, with inconsistent growths to FP, but not really touching my HP. This will give us load of more options as badges to equip, and will overall increase the difficulty of the game, at least early on. I'll explain more of that later on when it becomes relevant, but for now, this pretty lucky badge is going to be equipped. It gives us a 10% dodge chance for all attacks in battle, and for 2 BP, that's really not bad at all, especially when our options are this or nothing. Anyway, moving up, we can hop on these steps and fall down to the platform here to snag a key. We can use this key in the large black chest that is in this room we passed up. Come to find out a demon of sorts was lying in wait. In thanks for freeing it to haunt the world forevermore, it decides it's going to curse us for the rest of our days. This curse allows us to fold up our body into a paper airplane which let us access new places by way of traversal, like flying across this gap to finally reach the 1,000-year door. We can see there's a door on the opposite side of the room here. We'll also be getting into that much sooner than you might think. We head up to the pedestal and see this runic light start to affect the map as we hold it aloft, and suddenly, the map is being marked with the location of one of the legendary crystal stars. Legend has it that the map leads to each of the 7 stars, and the one who can assemble the fine jewels can open the door that leads to the ultimate treasure. It is now our goal to seek out the location marked on the map, which is beyond the Petal Meadows, to uncover the possible location of Peach, as she was on the Trail of Treasure, as far as we know. Now after this, Franklin gives us the Power Smash badge, which allows us to use a much stronger hammer attack. We toss it on and head back to the sewers to trade star pieces for badges with Dazzle. Here I'm going to trade for the Item Hog badge, which makes items more likely to drop from enemies after battle. And in this house here is Merlovely. She's a fortune teller similar to Merlin, who can give you hints on where to go in the story, or where to find various star pieces and shine sprites. With that set, we can move on forward and catch this airplane panel to the rightmost side of this room. And here we find a little blooper tentacle, and we can do a little hop, skip, and a jump to upset the creature within. This is our next mini-boss fight, the blooper. Gumbel reminds us we can change our attack order by pressing the Y button, which I'll use here to use Tattle on the blooper first. It can make different attacks based on its tentacles or based off of ink, and has 12 HP in total, 1 attack and no defense. The 2 tentacles have their own separate HP bars with 3 HP each. So this is another perfect use of a Fire Flower, as you'll eliminate the tentacles immediately. This causes the blooper to fall over and pretty much guarantees you'll get the chance to defeat it before it can do anything further to you, especially with your shiny new Power Smash badge. With that, we unlock some new platforms here, and stand at the entrance to the Petal Meadows. And that here ends the prologue. We have covered nearly everything available to us at this time, and next time we'll be getting deeper into this game's mechanics as we cover Chapter 1. And let me tell you, it's going to be a very, very, very full episode. If you thought this video was flying by, you better wait. If you like content like this, I recommend subscribing to the channel, as I've got quite a lot of projects I'm working on, such as Xenogears Explained, The Somnium Files, the Nirvana Initiative Explained, and so much more. And also, as a fun announcement, I am working on a new ARG, and it is titled 12 Monoliths Indigo Dreams. I'm going to be announcing the prologue of it soon, so subscribe to my channel and check out the link to my Discord in the video description. That's where all of the information will be disseminated, and I'll also make a community post. Check you guys next time.